Hi, hello friends, how are you? Welcome to NEOMENTORS IAS ACADEMY. I am going to give you some basic ideas about anthropology optional as good source of marks in your preparation. So today I am going to discuss this topic, anthropology syllabus decoded, because many students come to me with several questions regarding the anthropology syllabus, how to approach the syllabus, and what are the various strategies that you should adopt to understand the syllabus better. So in my experience, what I have understood is to approach the syllabus of the anthropology subject optional, we should have a unique approach on our own. So going further with this unique approach, I have devised a strategy where it is unique again, number one, and it is unique in the sense it makes the entire syllabus handy for you to handle. So handy and handle, right? That means the syllabus can be understood very clearly from one point of view, and you can actually see how the questions are being framed regularly from each part. So in this approach, what I have devised is, I have divided the syllabus into various parts, that is 6 parts in total, and each part is a different here. For example, the first part you can combine, call it as Introduction to Anthropology, and the other part, that is the social cultural part. So in part 1 of this syllabus, we have introduction to the anthropology subject in general, and also in particular social cultural anthropology, covering several social cultural dimensions of the subject. So in detail I will be explaining what exactly are these several dimensions. Coming to the second one, the second part is physical anthropology. Physical anthropology is also known as biological anthropology. And thirdly, anthropological theories, which is a unique part in itself. And fourthly, we have the prehistoric archaeological part, which is also very interesting background as far as our origins are concerned, our culture is also concerned. So various facets of human life are captured by these 4 parts. These 4 parts are also seen in paper 2. So these 4 parts usually cover the large I can say part in paper 1. So paper 2 में हम लोग जब जाते हैं, so all these 4 parts or 4 dimensions of the syllabus are already expressed in paper 2. So when we go to paper 2, these 4 parts I said belong to paper 1. 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. The first part. And the 4th part also includes some part of the Indian anthropology, that is paper 2. Okay, so we will see from here onwards, paper part 5 onwards, Indian society as well as tribal India both consume a great deal of I can say this focus in paper 2. So our entire approach to the syllabus is very clear. We have divided the syllabus into 6 parts. That is why division into so many parts. You might be actually raising this question. So there are only 2 papers. No sir, paper 1 is there, paper 2 is also there. So simply paper 1, paper 2 पढ़ सकते हैं ना. So try कर सकते हैं आप, no doubt, no problem in it. But you don't have that kind of strategy kind of approach. एक strategy के तौर पे हम लोग इसको address नहीं कर रहे हैं. जब हम इसको divide करते हैं easy parts में, that also will resonate with the idea of the optional of the subject to be divided into so many parts, because traditionally also there were the early pioneers of the anthropological subjects have divided the subject matter of anthropology into 4 parts. One is the social or cultural anthropology, second physical or biological anthropology, thirdly they have talked about linguistic anthropology, and fourthly they have spoken about archaeological anthropology. So here I have added linguistic anthropology in social cultural part. So one by one we will see how Each and every part is expressed in the syllabus, which chapter in the syllabus. Now we will go forward. Now coming to introduction and social cultural anthropology part. So what we will have here is, we have predominantly from paper 1, the chapters which are dealt in detail. For example, introduction part, the introduction part is covered in chapter 1.1, 1.2 and 1.3. If you see 1.1, if you focus on 1.1, it says meaning, scope and development of anthropology as a subject. Meaning, scope and development of anthropology. And chapter 1.2 deals with anthropology and its relationship with the other subjects, that is humanities, then social sciences, earth sciences, biological or physical sciences, all these different walks of human life. How anthropology is a part, or how it is part of those sciences, or is it different from those sciences? Okay, then we will go to 1.3. 1.3 is the one where the clear division of anthropology was done. As I said, the pioneering scholars of anthropology has divided the subject matter into 4. That is, they call it as either social cultural or cultural anthropology. 3 ways of looking at it, but we in India call it as social cultural anthropology. And the second one is biological or physical anthropology. Thirdly, it is archaeological anthropology. And fourthly, linguistic anthropology. Here 1.3 clearly talks about all that. So there are already certain divisions given broadly. So our approach to separate the major components of the syllabus into 6 parts more or less gets aligned with this kind of division of the syllabus into major divisions by the early pioneers. Who are these pioneers? We will go into detail and understand in the actual classes. Okay, so paper iske baad, then we will go to in paper 1 itself, chapter 2. Chapter 2 has got several sub points in it, in the sense, chapter 2 has got 2.1, then 2.2, 2.3, 2.4 and 2.5. So chapter 2.1 talks about nature of culture, and both of course have to be studied together, nature of culture and nature of society. And 2.3 deals with marriage, which is a very key facet of human life, key dimension of human social life, because with marriage itself several aspects start in human life. Marriage is highly linked to family, marriage, and in 2.5 we will be dealing with kinship. So all the 3 are like heart and the central points of social cultural anthropology. From here the major discussion of anthropology starts. That means focusedly social cultural anthropology starts, because many scholars in the West in the 18th and 19th centuries and later also started their studies with social cultural anthropology. They started taking keen interest in these different dimensions of the human social life across the world, especially in third world countries and colonies. Starting with marriage and family, how these institutions are very unique and different in the different parts of the world. So we will see what is this uniqueness in anthropology. बहुत interesting चीज़ है ये. So the moment you enter into these topics, you feel like, wow, the world is so colorful and the world is so full of diversity and variety. So you start appreciating all this, and we'll get a lot of I can say insights into how we can deal with our own society, because these days a lot is being discussed about, right, the marriages, especially homosexual marriages, gay marriages. Now case is now discussed in the Supreme Court also, you all aware of it, right? So these are called as institutions, social cultural institutions by anthropologists. marriage, family and kinship, and other ideas of human life. Now इसके आगे हम और भी chapters हैं इसमें. For example, chapter 3 also we will deal with. So in chapter 3, we'll talk about economic organization. That is how societies organize themselves in economics. In the sense how they produce their food, how they distribute their food, how they exchange their food and other resources with other members of the society or other societies, neighboring societies or strange societies. So economic organization is the main idea in chapter 3. That is also, I have classified it under introduction and social cultural anthropology. Now introduction ta ho gaya. Chapter 1 itself has covered that. 2, 3 onwards, we have this social cultural part. Okay, so chapter 3 deals with economic organization. Chapter 4 deals with political organization and social control. There is another word or rather term associated with this. Political organization and social control. Chapter 5 is religion. And chapter 7, we will enter into chapter 7 where it deals with culture, language and communication. You have to just see syllabus ko ek baar side mein rakhiye and just observe all this. You will start getting what you call familiar with the subjects. पहले इसके रूबरू आना है हमको, right? First you should know what exactly is what is what, and what are the easy methods with which I can actually start dealing with this. Culture, language and communication is also a very important part in our life, because only with language we express ourselves to the rest of the world, right? We all know that without language, human communication is absolutely almost impossible, and it is a very unique feature of human existence, I can say life and existence. So how language plays a lot of role in people's lives and various societies, how they structure their world, how they see the world around themselves. So how they express themselves, how they interact with the rest of the world, between themselves and the rest of the world. So language is only in the medium, right? And this also is an area of interest for anthropologists. So keenly discussed area. And chapter 8 I have put here for the convenience of the students so that they can understand the research methods in anthropology. Research methods, one of the key research methods involved in anthropology is the fieldwork technique. So immediately after the introduction, that is what are the research methods, what is the importance of these research methods, what are the different types of research methods involved in anthropological discourse, begins with a major idea, I can say the great unique, I can say the quality of anthropologists, that is fieldwork. Without fieldwork, there is no existence of anthropology. Anthropology cannot call itself as a unique discipline in the committee of disciplines unless it has got this feather in its major feather in its cap, that is fieldwork. So fieldwork is that. So what makes us easier for this topic is we have clubbed research methods and also fieldwork techniques, etc., with the other parts, the social cultural parts, which also go and link with chapter 1. So chapter 1 and chapter 8 broadly cement the 4 walls of the social cultural part. So beginning में chapter 1 आती है and last में chapter 8 आती है, and both are connected. So you will be seeing how beautifully we will connect all the dots. Okay, and I have a very typical habit also in the class to always point to the syllabus as to where exactly we are in the syllabus, which chapter we are dealing with, chapter number ke saath. With complete chapter number, we will be actually dealing with the classes, so that you get a lot familiar with the subjects initially in the very class itself. So there is no kind of confusion once you go back to home and start reading, ye kya chal raha hai. And if you see, some of you start seeing previous year questions, then there should not be any confusion, because all those different pieces fall together. So there are several questions where you require the reading of many chapters together, sometimes in what you call in association with other chapters. Holistic way of study is possible only when you know the chapters almost by heart. So which chapter I am reading in, which topic is related in which chapter, how it is related with the other chapter, or how this topic in paper 1 is linked to that topic in paper 2. So this is called as integrated approach also. The very anthropological approach also is integrated. Once one of the pioneering scholars called Malinowski has pioneered this method called integrated approach. So we will talk about that in this topic, research methods and field work and elsewhere in the syllabus. So this will sum up the broad introduction to this chapter 1 or part 1 of the syllabus. Now if you go to part 2 of the syllabus, you see it is named as physical anthropology. Traditionally it was called as physical anthropology, but popularly today it is known as biological anthropology. Mostly scholars call it as biological anthropology because physical was a bit older way of usage. बहुत साल पहले यूज करते थे physical, because it used to only talk about physical stuff like measurements of the skulls, etc., body parts, different heights of the people of different races. All these were the part and parcel of physical anthropology when it started taking a solid foundation. But as we advanced in the medical technology and cell level knowledge, nuclear technology, DNA technology, nuclear means that the chromosomes and etc., not exactly the nuclear things I was suggesting. So it is about the DNA technology and other technologies that we have developed. Those facilitated the researchers to go further and further deep into our origins and evolution, our genetics. So human origins and evolution, then human variation, all this will become a major part of biological anthropology. So what is biological anthropology dealing with? Basically, it is all about human origins and evolution. How we have originated, right? And how we have evolved today. It's an extraordinary part. Really, completely fall in love with the subject. The moment you start, dealing with this topic, human emergence and or origins and evolution, even non-biology students will start falling in love with the subject. I can guarantee that. Okay, human origins and evolution. Then there is human variation, the most important facet in today's world, because the world is still grappling with the idea of black and white and races and color of the skin, in spite of the fact that the scientists and anthropologists saying it is completely unscientific way of looking at human reality. Then that's the reason we speak about it in detail in anthropological sense. Then there is this human genetics part that also starts with theories of genetics, for example, laws of genetics by Mendel, and we will end up with the applied parts. In chapter 12, we will be dealing with the applied part. And this entire physical or biological anthropology is dealt in several, I can say, chapters. I'll just deal with these chapters in detail. So, for example, if I'm talking about the origins, the initial chapters, that is 1.4, 1.5, 1.6 and 1.7 in paper 1. Okay, so entire biological or physical anthropology is dealt in paper 1 only. Paper 1 itself completely covers physical or biological anthropology. So यहाँ पे एक आती है. Then chapter 9.1 to 9.8, the complete gamut of human genetics and the applied parts. So we will deal with the one by one area, that is how the human genetics has come up as a separate branch of genetics, starting with Mendel's laws, how Mendel has experimented with several plants, as well as his tabulating the results. Then he could come up with his own laws. Then how they have evolved into a full, I can say, full-blooded science in itself, and later scientists how they have developed, and how the knowledge of chromosomes and DNA technology has further enriched this knowledge. So all this is a part and parcel of human genetics. Later we will enter into the applied part, the paternity diagnosis, then the DNA fingerprinting, recombinant DNA technology, and many more. Okay, so this is about something about paper 1, that is part 2. There are also other parts like human growth and development in chapter 10. Then we have chapter 11, which deals with demography as well as human reproductive biology. And of course, chapter 12, as I was mentioning, talks about the applied parts, the applied physical anthropology, like we have forensic anthropology, anthropology of nutrition, anthropology of sports. You will be actually very shocked that there is also anthropology in sports. You will be like in awe and inspiring with this kind of knowledge. Okay, so this is about biological or physical anthropology. In detail, we will be entering. When I start the classes, I will be taking an entire session, more than 2 to 2.5 hours, for discussing only the syllabus in detail. Now, abhi ek general broad framework mein ja rahe hain hum log. Okay, just to know how to actually divide the syllabus to make it handy, so that you can actually handle it very well. Handle कभी भी याद रखो, बहुत काम आएगा आपको. So that this is an extraordinary winning strategy. I will be talking about this in the mentorship, etc. When we come to talk about mentorship, I will be talking about this. What exactly you mean by handy and handling? Here syllabus से start करते हैं हम लोग. Actually, when we enter into the deeper areas, deeper topics, and several other insights we will get, and how to make them handy so that you can handle your success extraordinarily. ठीक है? So चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. Paper 1 में part 3, that is anthropological theories. Anthropological theories is an extraordinary part in the entire syllabus of anthropology, because here we get to know how the thinkers think. What is the thought process? The entire thought process behind the emergence of anthropology as a serious discipline among the various disciplines, social sciences and other sciences. So for social cultural anthropology, the theorization is very, very important, and without any theory, no I can say discipline is possible. Discipline, agar aap padh rahe hain aaj anthropology as a discipline, that means somebody has worked hundreds of years back and recently also with some kind of body of knowledge which becomes the base of the entire syllabus. So usko base kya hai? One of the bases, in fact it's not the only base, but one of the major bases of anthropological subject is theories, and how these theories are dealt with by the early scholars and later scholars. What are their criticisms and what are the outcomes of the criticisms? It's an extraordinary thing, and that is my guarantee that we'll take care of this in what you call, kabhi unthinkable. You can't even think that this much clarity can get. So it is dealt in entirely one chapter, that is chapter 6 in paper 1, as I said, only paper 1. There is a little amount of thought but in paper 2, but that is only very insignificant. So we have left that in paper 2 itself. Okay? So that is, we will deal that with in part 5. Now there are 3 parts covered in this journey of what we try to understand, and we will enter into part 4, that is prehistoric archaeology. What is prehistoric archaeology and why we should study that? There is that's a beautiful question. We can actually give it a serious thinking on this, because for many students this part is a bit most tough nut to crack, विद इन एंथ्रोपोलॉजी लोगों को लगता है प्री हिस्टोरिक कुछ भी समझ में नहीं आ रहा सर. कई लोग बच्चे लोग दे विल डू वेरी वेल इन फिजिकल पार्ट, सम पीपल डू एक्सेलेंटली इन थॉट, some people are very good and many people are very good and excellent in social cultural part. Indian part, that is as I told you, the fifth part is Indian society, sixth part is tribal India. सब ठीक है, all the 5 parts at least थोड़ा बहुत इधर उधर करके कर लेते हैं, लेकिन archaeology में आते हैं तो फंस जाते हैं, अटक जाते हैं. So here I add my original insights as to make it more relevant to you guys and also alive and kicking. ठीक है. सो इसमें क्या होती है, विल गो टू आवर ओरिजिन्स एज द वेरी वर्ड इज सजेस्टिंग, वी गो टू द प्री हिस्टोरी ऑफ ह्यूमंस एंड वी हैव सम कनेक्शन विद चैप्टर 1.4, 1.5 एंड 1.6 while dealing with this. ठीक है. एंड in this we'll start with 1.8 in paper 1. Here we have got both the papers involved, paper 1 also and paper 2 also. Paper 1 में 1.8 is a very big kind of a part. Though it is showing as only one small part in chapter 1, that is a small facet of paper 1, that is 1.8, but it's a very big topic in itself. That's the reason we have separated that as a separate part and giving its due treatment. We are not clubbing that with social cultural anthropology or Indian anthropology, some scholars prefer to, but we are giving it a special treatment so that all the people who are finding it tough will deal with extraordinarily to get very good marks, right? Our aim is to get extraordinary marks. So that to facilitate that, I have divided this into these constituent parts. This is 1.8. Then in paper 2, we have got right from 1.1 to 1.3. So the chapter 1 in paper 2 itself is a very big part which covers prehistory of India. So we can broadly summarize these two as this is general prehistory and archaeology, right? General prehistory and archaeology. What is archaeology? What is prehistory? We will discuss in detail. ये तो general वाला हो गया. Okay. And what about this one? Paper 2 1.1 to 1.3. Simply just replace this with Indian examples, Indian archaeology and Indian prehistory. So it is to be clubbed and read as one. So both these parts have to be clubbed together because if you see the recent question papers, clearly ये लगता है many times he is asking Indian examples in paper 1. So people, if they separate them into paper 1 and paper 2 and prepare separately, you are going to pay a very high cost. ठीक है. So always understand the base, then apply that base to even Indian setting. So you should be very, very strong in certain terminologies. What are those terminologies? I'll make them simpler for you. I'll take a topic in archaeology and see how we will, in another video, we'll try to discuss one topic in archaeology. So that you get this fear gone out of your mind on and archaeology. And remember, archaeology is also part of this archaeological anthropology. We have divided in 1.3. Several parts we have actually done, okay, as part of the pioneering scholars understanding. अभी आते हैं Indian society in paper 2. Now it is completely the gamut of paper 2 only. That is Indian society and Indian culture. You can even add some another extra word, also Indian society and culture if you want. But basically it is about broad contours of Indian society. And here the chapters start with entirely paper 2, as I said. Paper 2, chapters 2, chapter 3, chapter 4 and chapter 5. Each chapter is a big chapter. This is a slightly smaller chapter. These 3 become the fulcrum or base of entire Indian society. We'll be dealing with topics like caste system. Then there is an interesting area called dominant caste, Jajmani system, Sanskritization, tribe caste continuum. Then we have westernization, modernization, village studies, family, joint family, caste in itself, village, and many beautiful insights which will enable you to understand our own roots in a different setting. Earlier also we spoke about our roots, right? We just referred in 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, we'll go to human origins and evolution. 1.8, we'll talk about human cultural evolution, our origins of human culture in prehistoric archaeology. And also in India, paper 2, 1.1 to 1.3, we'll deal with Indian culture, Indian prehistoric cultures rather. And taking it forward, coming to India, from where this caste system has originated, how joint family operates in India, how nuclear families are actually going further, and how marriage systems are being practiced in various Indian societies. So, this you can understand as a mainstream society, Indian society at large. Okay, that is a mainstream society. And in paper 2, from paper, what you call the part 6 onwards, we'll deal with the tribal parts, the tribal India or the Indian tribals, which is a very unique topic in itself, because right from the 19th century and even before it, British scholars and other scholars who have come to India to study Indians in general, they were grappled with two major questions. One is a caste and the other is tribe. So caste and tribe occupied the predominant focus of the Indian ethnographers. They were called as ethnographers earlier. Later, the term anthropologist came. So what is the difference between ethnographer and anthropologist? I'll explain when we actually enter into the classes. So Indian ethnographers focused mostly on caste and tribe. And in chapter 2, 3, 4 and 5, we can get a broad idea about the caste world. There also we'll mention about the tribe. But in chapter 6, we'll discuss in detail about the concept called tribe or the tribals. Who are these tribal people? Where they live? Okay. This is completely about the tribes. And here, of course, from chapter 6 onwards, chapter 6, chapter 7, chapter 8 and culminating in chapter 5, paper 2, we'll be dealing with the Indian tribes and how they are unique in their own world and what are their features, what are their problems, what are the government schemes devised to reduce their problems and alleviate their socio-economic backwardness, and so many other related ideas. Okay? So like this, the entire syllabus is clearly separated for you, segregated for you and classified in tune with the demand of the exam, because the exam demands, especially optional, demands specialization. Here, why an optional paper is kept? So that you have a special knowledge in some area. In general studies, you have a generalized idea. That is, it may not be very deep, but of course, somewhat deeper, not very shallow, not very deep, but at least moderate to, moderate kind of knowledge you can have in general studies. But here in optional, you should need that deeper perspectives. So in order to give the treatment, we have divided this subject into the constituent parts. We are not disturbing anything drastically from in the syllabus, and we will be giving utmost attention to each part so that we'll give that special treatment that is required to that particular area. Okay, so we have got now 6 parts, again summing up that introduction and general anthropology and also social cultural part in 1, part 2 physical or biological, part 3 that is only 1 paper. I am dividing it for my convenience and your convenience, as I mentioned. Part 3 deals with anthropological theories, chapter 6. Part 4 deals with prehistoric archaeology, including Indian examples. Then part 5, Indian society and culture, and part 6, tribal India. So this is a broad way of me decoding the syllabus for you so that it can be meaningful for you to study. And also understand, one last point I am trying to drive home to you is, one can start with any part. The beauty in this is, you can start with any part. You need not start from 1.1 to and go like in that sequence. If you want to do it, you can do it, no problem, nobody is stopping you. But we don't get that kind of specialist treatment that is required, as I told you, the demand of that particular segment of the syllabus. आपको स्पेशलाइजेशन दिखाना है, डीपर नॉलेज आना है, कॉन्सेप्चुअल डेप्थ आना है, कॉन्सेप्चुअल क्लैरिटी चाहिए और इसके द्वारा ज़बरदस्त मार्क्स लानी है एग्जाम में एंड टॉप करना है एंड कंसिस्टेंटली क्रॉसिंग the 70%, 60% marks in each component. you should give that due treatment to each component like that. I have devised, and this become a very, very big hit. Students have received it very well, and now anybody after listening to the classes or watching my video recordings can easily deal with the parts, and they can actually segregate their notes in that fashion and see the previous year questions, write tests, and take mentorship and get them evaluated and do wonderfully well in the exam. Okay, now we have even this relevant question, syllabus vis-a-vis the examination, how we can actually go forward and make connections with syllabus and examination. So that is a very important question. So मेरा simple एक ही फंडा है भाई, you should know syllabus by heart. Very simple prescription for you. Syllabus you should know in and out. Why you should know syllabus in and out is another related question. So because you are going to deal the questions in the examination which is rooted in the syllabus. Many are straight questions. You know, anthropology is also very lovable optional, highly scoring optional, and choice for of the students is also anthropology to a great extent because of the straight questions. Wonderful, fine, but is it only the reason? And many a times these days the examiner can actually test your originality and your versatility, your applied knowledge. All this is possible only with when you have the concept very stronger. So concept is rooted in the syllabus, and if you know the syllabus in and out, so you can easily relate with the lectures as well as current developments happening around you. Okay, so syllabus को जानना केवल एग्जाम के लिए नहीं, आपको फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल सब्जेक्ट को अंदर समेटने के लिए, अंदर अंडरस्टैंड करने के लिए ज़बरदस्त तरीके से हेल्प करेगा. And that is the reason there is a good organic linkage between syllabus and the exam, and one should know the syllabus very clearly in and out. That is my prescription. So अभी इसीलिए बोल दिया मैंने, why an aspirant should be familiar with the syllabus. Ultimately, yeah, the moot question is to score maximum. To score maximum means, why we are talking about maximum? Because if you want to stand out and get the top ranks and top services like IAS, IPS, you should be getting maximum marks from your optional, because the optional is a decider and game changer. मैं अक्सर कहता हूँ बच्चों से, your optional can make or break your chances in the selection. Many students actually fail, and repeatedly they do the same mistake in taking the wrong optional. Choice is very, very important. Choosing the optional is very important, and after choosing the optional, giving it a respect and due treatment is also very important. And that respect starts with knowing the syllabus and getting a lot of deep familiarity with the syllabus. ये बहुत उम्दा चीज़ है, आपको याद रखना है. Okay, so that is how we have actually devised this, and thank you from me, Vijay Sarathi, as well as NEOMENTORS IAS Academy, because we are all committed to excellence. Thank you very much.